5 Heartwarming Blind Date Unveils Incredible Connection. Single Dad CEO Discovers Unexpected Love. Jake sat at a small table in the cozy cafe, his fingers trembling slightly around the cup of coffee that had grown cold in front of him. The soft chatter of other patrons swirled around him, creating a warm atmosphere that contrasted sharply with the storm of emotions brewing within. Just months ago, his life had been blissfully chaotic with Lily, his spirited 8-year-old daughter. Now, with the weight of losing his wife pressing down on him, every breath felt heavy. Each heartbeat a reminder of the emptiness lingered in their home. A blind date. It felt like an insurmountable task. But if there was a chance to rediscover joy, even just a flicker, he needed to take it. When Sarah walked through the door, she illuminated the cafe. Her smile was genuine, effortlessly bright. She walked over, effortlessly dismissing the noise around them. Despite his heart racing with uncertainty, Jake found himself smiling back. They exchanged pleasantries, her laughter echoing in his heart like music he had long forgotten. He was captivated not just by her beauty but by the kindness emanating from her. They shared stories. Jake opened up about his chaotic life, the relentless demands of his tech startup, the struggles that kept him up at night. He recounted the sweet little victories that made his days with Lily brighter, like when she had outwitted him in a game of chess. In return, Sarah shared her dream of opening a restaurant, a space where families could bond over comforting meals. It was as if the two were weaving a shared tapestry of hopes and struggles. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But as their discussions deepened, Jake sensed a subtle shift. Sarah's smile dimmed ever so slightly again when the talk turned toward their lives at home. She mentioned her son, the unrelenting struggle to provide in a world that never seemed to give them a fair shot. The ease between them fractured, and their differences rose like an unwelcome shadow. Jake didn't mean to sound dismissive when he shared stories of his upbringing, filled with privilege. Yet he could see the hurt in Sarah's eyes, the weight of their disparities heavy in the air. It burned deep, striking a chord he hadn't fully understood until that moment. An emotional confrontation ensued, tears brimming in Sarah's eyes. "You don't know what it's like to fight just to keep your head above water," she exclaimed, the truth raw and cutting. Jake's stomach dropped, his comfort turning to guilt. He wanted to be there, to support her, but he felt lost. Was he just another businessman wrapped up in his own world, too self-absorbed to truly see her struggles? Just as they began to navigate this wavering gap between them, the earth under Jake's feet shook when his phone rang, an urgent call about Lily's school. Panic gripped his heart as he glanced at Sarah, the realization hitting him hard. How could he leave now? But family came first. Yet as he rushed out of the cafe, he could feel the connection he'd just begun to forge slipping away, like sand through his fingers. Would Sarah still be there when the dust settled? Would she even want to be? The questions swirled in his mind as he stepped out into the bustling Chicago air, the weight of uncertainty crashing down around him. Jake's heart raced as he navigated through the throng of people outside the cafe. His mind swirled with thoughts of Sarah and the intensity of their first meeting. But those thoughts quickly turned to Lily as the urgency of her school's call weighed on him. "Please be okay," he murmured under his breath, his pulse quickening. Each ring of the phone echoed in his mind, fueling his worry. The car ride was a blur. Traffic lights turned green, but felt like red, and every honk left him more restless. All he wanted was to be by Lily's side. But he couldn't shake the anxiety creeping in over the uncertainty. He'd left with Sarah. Arriving at the school, he took a deep breath before rushing to the office. The moment he stepped through the doors, a wave of familiar scents, the antiseptic of the nurse's office mixed with the warmth of crayons and paper, washed over him. It felt like home, and yet, today, it felt overwhelming. "Mr. Bennett?" The secretary looked up, her eyes brimming with concern. "Your daughter had a small incident in the playground. She's in the nurse's office, but it's nothing serious. Just a scrape." A wave of relief swept through him. but it was accompanied by parental guilt. "Can I see her?" "Of course." Jake hurried down the corridor, his thoughts still drifting back to Sarah's pained expression. How could he bridge the gap between their worlds? He opened the nurse's door, and there was Lily, sitting on a cot, her knee bandaged and her eyes wide with excitement rather than pain. "Daddy!" Lily exclaimed, her face lighting up at the sight of him. "Look, I fell off the swing, but it was cool. I went super high before I crashed." Jake knelt beside her, engulfed by her spirit. "You're so brave. Does it hurt?" "A little. But they gave me a sticker," she said, proudly showing him the little star sticker that gleamed on her shirt. In that moment, everything else faded. The worry of Sarah, the weight of his life decisions, even the fear of moving forward, they all dissolved into the warmth of being a father. "You're my superhero, you know that?" Lily beamed. "Can we get ice cream now?" "Of course." He smiled, tousling her hair. "Just wait until I find out what I can do about school, and then we can go." As they walked hand in hand to the car, a new realization sparked within Jake. Maybe this was part of healing, not just for him, but for her, too. Maybe the connection he felt with Sarah wasn't just a fleeting moment, but an opportunity to build something bigger. Later that evening, as they settled in for movie night, Jake's phone buzzed. It was a message from Sarah. "Hey, hope Lily is okay. I didn't mean to get so emotional today. Can we talk?" Jake's heart raced again, but this time it was different, a mix of fear and hope. He wanted to reach out, to open up the lines of communication. But could he face the truth of his feelings? He typed a response, hesitating, unsure how to bridge their burgeoning relationship against the backdrop of their realities. "Sure, just let me know when." The moment hung in the air. Jake could feel the weight of the words he'd just typed, the questions lingering like shadows. Would they be able to draw closer, or was the distance between their lives too vast? He stared at the screen, waiting, wishing he could read her mind. He wanted to be there for her, but he also held his family close. What would the heart reveal when they both stepped into the light again? As he glanced at his daughter laughing at the movie, he clenched his phone tightly. It was clear he had a choice to make, one that could change everything. Jake's heart thumped in rhythm with the uncertainty, and he couldn't shake the feeling that their story was only beginning. What awaited him on the other side of honesty with Sarah? Would they both take a leap of faith? The following morning woke up with the sun filtering through the curtains in soft beams, illuminating the cozy living room where Jake and Lily sprawled on the couch, filled with the remnants of last night's movie night. He glanced over at Lily, still lost in dreamland, her hair a messy halo around her face. He couldn't help but smile. Moments like these felt simple, yet profoundly happy. But the weight of his phone's unanswered message loomed over him like a storm cloud that he grabbed his coffee, the rich aroma grounding him in the present, and took his first sip. The warmth spread through him, but his thoughts swirled back to Sarah. What would happen if he took that leap? Would they both feel the gravity of their connection, or was it just wishful thinking on his part? His phone buzzed, pulling him out of his musings. It was Sarah. "How about we meet for coffee later?" He froze, heart racing. It was a chance both thrilling and terrifying. A chance to explore whatever was building between them, to see where honesty might take them. After a moment of deep breaths, he typed back, "That sounds great. Let us meet at the cafe at noon?" As the clock ticked down to noon, he found himself becoming more fidgety. He put on a crisp shirt and smoothed his hair, trying to prepare himself for whatever might unfold. Would they just be two friends talking, or was there something more waiting to be discovered? Arriving at the cafe, the chatter inside buzzed like 1,000 bees. He spotted Sarah at a corner table, her smile lighting up the dimly lit space. Instantly, his heart calmed. Her presence soothed him, even amid the storm of uncertainty he felt inside. When she waved, it felt like a breath of fresh air. "Hey, you made it. Wouldn't he miss it for the world?" He smiled back, trying to ignore the way his pulse quickened at seeing her. As they settled in, the small talk flowed naturally. They spoke about Lily, how she had bounced back from her playground mishap, and Jake shared stories about their ice cream outing. Sarah listened, her laughter infectious, and he could see the genuine warmth in her eyes. But there was something more bubbling beneath the surface. He could feel the tension building, a connection that went beyond friendship. The intimate moments, her gaze lingering on his, the way she leaned forward slightly as they spoke set his heart racing again. But how much could he share? How honest could he be about the conflict inside him? Finally, Taking a deep breath, he dove in. I've been thinking a lot about this connection we feel. She paused, looking down at her cup. I know what you mean. I didn't expect it either, but it feels real. Jake's heart thumped, hope flaring within him. I thought maybe we could explore it. If you feel the same way. Her eyes met his, filled with vulnerability. But what about Lily? What if? The words hung in the air, a palpable tension that both excited and terrified him. His mind raced toward the implications, the potential challenges that lay ahead. Could he actually integrate both parts of his life? Was there room for something new without losing what he fiercely cherished? Lily is my priority. Always. But I also want to be true to what we've got, he admitted, searching her gaze for understanding. Sarah leaned in closer, as if sharing a secret, her voice soft yet resolute. I want to be a part of your life, but I need to know you're sure. The moment felt pivotal, filled with all the possibilities of what could unfold, but also the heavy reality of the risk they were both considering. Jake swallowed hard, grappling with the boundaries. Would stepping into the light bring clarity, or would it obliterate everything he had created for Lily? His heart thudded with the weight of the decision. As he opened his mouth to respond, the door swung open suddenly, and a familiar face stepped in. It was Lily, beaming with a friend at her side, the last person Jake expected to see here. What are you doing, Daddy? She chirped, oblivious to the charged atmosphere. Jake's thoughts tangled. Suddenly, the moment shifted, everything feeling precarious and uncertain. How was he going to navigate through this? Would his two worlds collide? And if they did, what would that mean? As he looked at Sarah, a silent question hung between them, heavy yet hopeful. Where do we go from here? Jake's heart plummeted as he turned to face Lily, her innocent excitement piercing the tense atmosphere. She bounced on her feet, oblivious to the heavy emotions lingering at the table. Beside her stood her friend, a bright-eyed girl named Mia, pulling her ponytail in anticipation of some fun. Daddy, are you having coffee with this lady? Can I sit with you? Lily's eyes sparkled as she caught sight of Sarah. Jake exchanged a glance with Sarah. There seemed to be a million words unspoken, emotions tugging at the corners of their minds. He could see the flicker of surprise in Sarah's eyes, but there was also a warmth, an understanding that this mini whirlwind of chaos was part of him, part of the life he had built. Of course. You can sit with us, Jake finally replied, masking the tension in his voice with a cheerful tone. This is Sarah. She's a friend. Lily plopped down on the empty chair, Mia following suit. Are you friends with my daddy? Jake felt a rush of gratitude for Lily, her innocence grounding him amidst the uncertainty. Very much so, Sarah said, her smile wide as she leaned over to give Lily a little wave. And it's nice to meet you, Mia. Do you like ice cream? Lily finally asked, her wide eyes eager for a conversation. Who doesn't love ice cream? Sarah laughed, and Jake felt his heart lighten. Maybe they could make this work, even with the unexpected audience. They began to chat about flavors and favorite places to visit. The initial awkwardness lessened, growing into laughter and shared stories. It felt like they were building something together, even as the weight of Jake's earlier conversation with Sarah lingered just beneath the surface. Yet, with each giggle and shared glance between Sarah and Lily, Jake felt the walls he built ebbing away. Could they really intertwine their lives like this? As the conversations flowed, Jake felt an unexpected relief. No matter how complex his feelings for Sarah were, this moment with Lily reminded him of what truly mattered. He couldn't deny that it felt good to laugh, to share a moment of simplicity wrapped in warmth. But as lunch moved on, a shadow crossed his heart. The nagging question of how to be honest with Lily gnawed at him. How long could he keep this new friendship a secret? Finally, inspired by an unspoken connection, Jake turned to Sarah. Hey, maybe we could plan a fun outing together, just the three of us? Sarah's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but be drawn in by her enthusiasm. That sounds amazing. I'd love to. The kids cheered, their excitement infectious, but Jake felt a lump form in his throat. It all felt too good to be true. How could they blend their worlds without losing the fragile ties that held them together? Just then, Lily tugged on his sleeve, her voice soft. Daddy, when are we going to go? That's a great question, sweetheart, Jake replied, uncertainty creeping back in the midst of joyful chatter. A sudden realization gripped him. What if this attempt to merge their lives ended in chaos? Would he regret the choices he made today? The thoughts spun around his mind like a merry-go-round. As laughter bubbled up around him, the joyful facade masked the rising turmoil, leaving him with a single, pressing thought. Was he brave enough to embrace the uncertain future that lay ahead, or would he retreat back into the safety of the known? With each passing moment, he felt the stakes growing higher. Could he really take this leap and redefine everything he thought he knew about love? As the cafe doors swung open again, a familiar figure stepped inside. Jake's pulse quickened, his world felt ready to pivot in a new direction. Would this intruder add to the confusion, or would they inadvertently change everything? "What are you doing here?" Jake muttered under his breath, as the new arrival locked eyes with him, sending waves of apprehension and hope rushing through. Jake's eyes widened as he recognized the newcomer. It was Emma, a former colleague from his old job. She had a warmth about her, a kindness that seemed to radiate off her. But as their gazes locked, he felt a mix of warmth and panic churning in his chest. What was she doing here? He quickly shifted his focus back to the table, where Lily and Mia were still bouncing back and forth with their animated banter about ice cream flavors and their favorite superhero movies. The laughter was a comforting backdrop, but the sudden appearance of Emma disrupted the fragile equilibrium Jake was attempting to maintain. "Hey, Emma." He managed a smile, though his heart raced. "What a surprise. Fancy seeing you here." Emma's smile was bright, but Jake noticed a slight hesitation in her eyes as she scanned the scene: the children, Sarah, and him. "I didn't know you had company." "Oh, we were just having a little lunch. This is my daughter, Lily, and her friend, Mia." Jake gestured toward the girls, hoping to deflect some attention. "Nice to meet you both." Emma knelt down, eyes sparkling with genuine interest. Jake's heartbeat slowed as Emma interacted with the girls. Judging by their gleeful giggles, they were taken by her charm. It reminded Jake of the way she used to light up the room at work. Could she sense the shift in dynamics here? Or worse, could she detect the tension that hung around him like a dense fog? He glanced at Sarah, who was watching Emma with curiosity. This could be tricky. He felt a sudden wave of protectiveness over the moment he had just shared with Sarah and Lily. Was it a mistake to invite her into his life when the past had just walked through the door? "Can I join you all?" Emma asked, her voice cheerful. Sure," Jake blurted out, though inside he wrestled with a mixture of dread and interest. The connection with Sarah felt important. He needed to figure it out without great distractions, yet here he was, about to mix everything further. As Emma settled in at the table, the conversation shifted. The energy changed into a playful back and forth, a dance Jake had danced many times before. Emma and Sarah exchanged pleasantries, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to shift again. The girls were gleefully requesting insider knowledge about ice cream flavors from Emma. "So, what's your favorite flavor?" Lily asked wide-eyed. "I think it's got to be mint chocolate chip," Emma replied, glancing over at Jake. "What do you think?" "Great choice," Sarah chimed in. Jake noticed the light in Emma's eyes when she looked at Sarah. The two women seemed to connect, and a wave of gratitude washed over him. Sarah felt comfortable with Emma. The lunch continued amidst chirpy conversations, but an undercurrent of tension threaded through Jake's thoughts. What did Emma want? Why now? He had managed to dodge the complications that came from old relationships, so why tempt fate? As the girls began reaching for crayons and paper, ready to initiate a drawing contest, Jake felt his thoughts spiral into anxiety. His heart was divided between revisiting his past with Emma and stepping into a future with Sarah. Finally, as Jake fumbled through payments, he caught Sarah's eye. Somehow, it felt like there was more to figure out between them, even in this setup full of unexpected visitors. "Hey, Sarah, can we grab a moment alone after this?" he asked hesitantly, hoping to find a way to navigate the storm brewing in his heart. "Sure," Sarah replied, her expression thoughtful. But as they wrapped up their gathering, something in Jake's gut twisted. He was standing on the brink of something real with Sarah, and yet the ghost of the past loomed ever closer. Could he move into this new chapter of his life, or would the past pull him back? As he glanced at Emma, uncertainty lingered like the shadows in the corners of the cafe. Jake had a choice to make, one that could change everything yet again. Would he find the courage to take the leap into a brighter future, or would the weight of yesterday's hold him down? The air was thick with an unspoken tension as Jake took a breath and adjusted the paper money in his hand. He couldn't help but steal glances at Sarah. The way her expression fluctuated between curiosity and concern made his heart race. He had just invited her to have a private moment, yet the presence of Emma loomed large, a shadow he couldn't shake off. "Okay, what did I miss?" Emma asked, breaking the contemplative silence as she smoothed out the table runner. She had a knack for making the mundane feel significant. "Just kids being kids," Jake said, trying out a casual smile, but it felt awkward. "They're about to get all creative with those crayons." "Sounds like fun." Emma beamed, diving into a light-hearted conversation with the girls. Jake watched as they giggled, drawn to Emma's charm like moths to a flame. But with every laugh that erupted, Jake felt a tight, not twist tighter in his stomach. As Lily and Mia squirmed around their new colorful drawings, Sarah shifted in her chair, clearly interested in the girls, but also looking his way. "Jake, can I ask you something?" she finally said, her voice laced with caution. "Of course," he replied, feeling vulnerable. "Do you know her well?" Sarah's gaze directed toward Emma, though her finger lightly pointed at the table. The question hung in the air, heavy and loaded. "Not really. Just a colleague from a past job," Jake replied, keeping his voice steady, but he felt the pulse in his neck throb. There's nothing more to it. Yet the moment he finished speaking, he could sense Sarah weighing his words. The trust they were building felt at risk, and he wanted to protect that fragile connection. "Really? She seems familiar," Sarah said slowly, almost thoughtfully. The undercurrent of doubt in her tone made Jake's heart sink. "Yeah, well, sometimes life throws odd coincidences at you." He tried to sound casual, even though the words felt like a slight defense for what he was feeling inside. "Anyway, what about you? What do you think of the drawings?" He pointed to the girls who were frowning in concentration, brows knitted as they painted worlds bursting with color. "Looks like there's a masterpiece about to emerge," Sarah laughed, the sound sweetening the atmosphere a bit. Yet, inside, Jake felt the ache of uncertainty. He could either address what was brewing or bury it, but doing so felt all too familiar a pattern he wanted to break. "Hey, do you think we could use this artwork as an ice cream flavor soon?" Jake teased, aiming for levity, but even he couldn't ignore the bittersweet edge. "Mint chocolate chip," the girls shouted simultaneously. Their little hands flew up, but Jake's attention remained locked on Sarah. Taking a leap, he said, "I mean it, Sarah. I wouldn't have asked to speak to you alone if I didn't want to figure things out. Can we just Jake?" Emma chimed in, catching them off guard. "Do you want to join us later for ice cream? You know, with the girls? I didn't know you two knew each other that well." The invitation felt innocent, yet Jake felt the walls closing in. Emma's smile was inviting, but it was also a wave crashing against the possibilities he had been considering between him and Sarah. Silence hung thick afterward. It was as if the universe took a deep breath. In this instant, Jake realized that every choice he made had repercussions. "Actually, Emma, I was hoping," Sarah started, her voice steady, "that Jake and I could have that moment alone first." Jake's heart raced. Emma's eyes widened slightly, and for a moment, the vibrant cafe faded away to a murmur. Could Sarah really be feeling the connection he sensed, too? Or would this room filled with joy and laughter shatter under the weight of their pasts? There was only one way to find out, and Jake wasn't ready to back down. He looked from Emma to Sarah, ready to grasp the moment, but uncertainty buzzed between them like electric currents. What truth would emerge from their honest conversation, and would they walk away stronger or more fragmented? Jake felt as if time suspended, his breath caught somewhere between hope and fear. Sarah's request lingered in the air, propelling a slight shift in the atmosphere. He locked eyes with her, and in that instant, he sensed a kindred spirit, a kind of unspoken understanding that had eluded them both. Emma stood visibly surprised, her smile faltering for just a heartbeat. The tension stirred within the small space grew thicker, a delicate balance between camaraderie and the uncharted territory of their emotions. Sarah's determination shined through, and Jake's admiration for her deepened, even as he wrestled with uncertainty. Sure," Emma finally responded, her voice light, yet shaky. "I didn't mean to interrupt the serious talk." Her words hung in the air as she looked between them, her eyes flickering with an attempt to maintain the cheerful atmosphere. "I'll just go help the girls clean up." As Emma disappeared into the rainbow chaos of crayons and paper, Sarah leaned closer, a spark of bravery igniting her features. "Jake, I really want to know more about you." Beyond work and the kids, she said, her voice steady yet soft, as if they were standing on the edge of something new. The room quieted, the chatter of the cafe muffled like a distant soundtrack. For Jake, the world faded away, leaving only Sarah and the weight of every unasked question. I want that too, he admitted, barely above a whisper. Then let us talk. Really talk, she urged, biting her lip, a habit he noticed in moments of genuine vulnerability. The gentleness in her voice chiseled away the doubt that had begun to forge walls around his heart. He nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. Yeah, I think I've been avoiding it. I didn't want to make things complicated. With Sarah's eyes locked onto his, he felt a fierce determination rising within him. Complicated? Sarah scoffed lightly, shaking her head. Jake, life is complicated. Isn't it better if we're honest about what we feel? Her sincerity pierced through the haze of his insecurities. He took a deep breath, the sweet scent of vanilla and coffee swirling around them. Okay, let us be honest. Before he could gather his thoughts, Sarah continued, I can't ignore the way we connect. It's like I've known you longer than just during our brief encounters. Right? It's so strange, Jake said, feeling a kind of exhilaration running through him. I can't help but think there's more here, waiting to be uncovered. Just then, the laughter from the girls brought them back to reality. Emma's infectious joy seemed to float around them like a shield, but the connection with Sarah felt different. It was deeper, raw, and full of promise. So, Sarah said, a hint of shyness creeping back into her demeanor. What do you want from all this, Jake? What does it look like? Just friends? Or something more? Her question hung between them, wavering like a delicate pendulum, and Jake felt a surge of clarity. He didn't want to hide anymore. He wanted to feel deeply, to live vividly. Honestly, I'm not sure what the future holds, he began, then paused. But I see something with you that excites me. Something I want to explore. Sarah's eyes softened, light dancing within them. Then let us explore. Together. As they locked gazes, Jake felt a rush of hope bloom inside him, a feeling that maybe this was the turning point he had been searching for. But just as he thought they had begun to breach the surface, a loud crash echoed from the other side of the cafe, jolting them back to the moment. Their serene conversation abruptly came to a halt, and they turned to see a stack of bowls tumbling over. The playful chaos snapped the bubble they had created, reminding Jake that sometimes, life didn't let you be easy. Maybe we're not alone in this after all, Sarah said with a playful smile as she glanced at the girls, and for the first time, Jake genuinely chuckled. Would the unforeseen interruption help or hinder their burgeoning connection? One thing was for sure, this journey was just beginning, and neither of them knew quite how far it would take them. Jake's laughter faded into the background noise of the cafe, but the warmth from Sarah's smile lingered like the last rays of sunlight at dusk. The moment hung delicately, fragile yet radiant. The kind of moment that, if he'd been more honest earlier, he would have wanted to hold on to indefinitely. The girls continued to play, their giggles rising and falling like a melody, but Jake's thoughts drifted back to Sarah. He dared to meet her gaze again, and the intensity of her eyes wrapped around him, tugging at every wall he had put up. Somewhere deep inside, a quiet, stubborn voice whispered that maybe, just maybe, they were ready for this, ready to dive into the unknown together. So what brings you to this little adventure? Jake asked, trying to steer the conversation back to safe ground while his heart raced in his chest. Honestly, I needed a distraction, Sarah replied, her tone light, but an undercurrent of sincerity threading her words. Things have been a little chaotic lately. I wanted to escape to the simplicity of arts and crafts, even for just a moment. His heart went out to her. Chaos. The word echoed with familiarity in his own life. Balancing work and parenting often felt like juggling flaming torches, but he could see in her eyes that there was more to her story. Is everything okay? He ventured gently. Yeah, well, my brother he's been going through a rough time. I guess it just made me reassess a lot of things. You know, life is too short to sit on the sidelines. Jake felt that weight in his chest again. Many shared experiences, his own struggles wrinkling their paths together, and here they were, strangers turned allies in an increasingly loud cafe. I get that. My sister's been sick, and with everything else, it can feel overwhelming. Her expression softened, morphing from determination to understanding. But you're doing an incredible job with the girls. The confidence in her voice wrapped around him, soothing his insecurities for a brief moment. I see how they light up when you're around. The compliment knotted joy and embarrassment together inside him, and he shrugged, shaking his head lightly. I'm just trying to keep up sometimes. I wish I had it all figured out. Who really does? Sarah replied, her tone coy yet thoughtful. I think we're all just trying to navigate through our own mess. It's brave of you to step up and face it. The conversation felt like a delicate dance, every word a step closer to what they both wanted. And yet, with every deeper revelation, Jake could feel the weight of uncertainty settling back in his stomach. What if things didn't work out? Let us just take it one day at a time, Sarah suggested, her easy smile reassuring him. Maybe let life surprise us. Jake could hardly wrap his head around the path they were treading on. You're right. This could be exactly the kind of adventure we need. But just then, a high-pitched squeal caught their attention. One of the girls had triumphantly raised a crayon, declaring her creation a masterpiece of epic proportions. It pulled both their gazes, the innocent joy snapping the intensity of their conversation. Sarah chuckled, covering her mouth to stifle a giggle. Looks like the chaos is back in full swing. Jake joined her laughter, feeling lighter. But even amidst the silliness, every bright moment with Sarah felt intertwined with a deeper promise, one he wasn't quite ready to let go of. Yet, as they fell back into the rhythm of the afternoon, Jake couldn't shake off the feeling that another wave of disruption was possible. Would the truth of their lives bring them closer, or would it tear down the delicate bond they were forming? Jake. Sarah's tone shifted again, a spark of seriousness returning as she leaned in closer. What if we were to take that leap together? In that moment, the weight of possibilities enveloped him, and he realized he was faced with a choice that could change everything. What if, just this once, he chose hope over fear? Jake felt her words wrap around him, a blanket of encouragement against the chill of uncertainty that had settled desperately at the edges of his mind. The cafe buzzed with life, laughter, and the clinking of cups, but time had slowed for the two of them. All the noise faded into a soft hum. Are you serious? He asked, trying to catch the earnest light in Sarah's eyes, weighing her words against his own hesitation. The thought of taking a leap sent his heart racing, and also terrified him. Absolutely, Sarah said, her smile unwavering. Why not? It could lead to something beautiful. With a sigh, Jake leaned back slightly, feeling the familiar weight in his gut. He loved his girls deeply, but fear of everything gone wrong loomed over him like a storm cloud. Would they be okay if he let someone in? Would his heart survive the fallout if it didn't work out? I want that too, Sarah, he said, feeling regret pressurize his chest. I do. But it's just so complicated. The girls love you, Jake. They need you to be happy. Don't you want to model that for them? Show them that life has possibilities? There was so much truth in her words. The girls had been the singular light in these past months, but he also wanted to show them that love didn't just exist in stories. It was a fickle, messy, beautiful thing. He took a breath, feeling the tension build inside him and trying to let it go. Okay, let us see where this goes, he said finally, a hint of courage sparking inside him. He could hardly believe what he was saying. Great. Sarah beamed, and it was like she had turned the dimming lights of his insecurities back to bright. Let us make plans. A picnic, maybe? When are your girls with their mom? Jake's mind spun with ideas, excitement fluttering in his chest. They're with her this weekend. The prospect felt surreal, yet he could practically sense their adventure blooming before him like the flowers in spring. Perfect. We can pack some sandwiches, maybe grab some cupcakes from that little bakery down the street. Someone called Sarah's name from across the cafe, drawing her attention momentarily. As she turned, Jake took a second to breathe. As her impact lingered, he marveled at how true connection was possible even in unexpected moments. The giggles of the girls interrupted his thoughts again as they drew closer, crayon masterpieces in hand. Daddy, look what I made, his youngest exclaimed, her sticky fingers presenting a paper filled with wild colors. That's amazing, he said, genuinely thrilled. Even just that innocent joy grounded him, reminding him what mattered most. With the girls pulled into the moment, Jake caught Sarah's eye again. Something changed in the air, something electric and thrilling, yet filled with tenderness. She too had a light in her eyes, one that mirrored the happiness surrounding them. The warmth of childhood, she observed softly, and the hope of new beginnings. Jake nodded in agreement, the weight of the past lifting bit by bit. It felt more than just a cafe celebration. It was a stepping stone, an opening where something brighter might spring to life. Then the door swung open, and in walked Jake's sister, Christine, her face drawn with weariness. She spotted Jake and approached, a frown forming as her eyes landed on Sarah. "Jake, we need to talk," she said, her tone serious, cutting through the warmth of the moment. Jake felt the joy drain a bit from him, uncertainty creeping in again. Okay," he replied, glancing nervously at Sarah, who now had concern shadowing her features. A sudden drumroll of anxiety filled the air. What news awaited them? What could possibly shake this promising moment? And the next thing Jake knew, everything was threatened to go off course again. Would this be a reset, or the start of something even more complicated? Jake felt his world tremble as Christine approached, her serious demeanor sending ripples of uncertainty through him. The shelter of laughter and warmth began to fade, slipping into the cool shadows of reality as he braced himself for what might come next. "Hey, Christine," he greeted cautiously, catching Sarah's wary glance. The moment felt ruptured, everything he had just begun to build shifting underfoot. Christine's eyes darted back and forth between Jake and Sarah. "Can we step outside for a moment? It's important." "That sounds urgent," Jake replied, his heart racing. He stood, hesitating just briefly before he walked away, sending one last reassuring smile towards Sarah. Outside, the bustling noise of the cafe softened into the background. Christine folded her arms, her posture tense. "Jake, I didn't want to ruin your moment in there, but I think you need to know. Mom's health has declined even more. We have to make decisions soon." A cold wave washed over him, uncertainty surging with every exchange of words. "What?" His voice barely escaped his lips as he registered the reality his mother was fading, and the prospect of Sarah felt like a distant star, slipping away. "I was thinking maybe we should all come together for a family meeting. We need to do this as a team, Jake." "Yeah, all right." He nodded, feeling trapped between two realities. One was dominated by family obligations, and the other was a blossoming friendship with Sarah that flickered with light. "Who was that woman you were with, anyway?" Christine continued, angling her body toward the entrance as if peering through the glass back into the warmth. "Is she a distraction?" "A distraction?" "No." Jake paused, taking a deep breath. "Sarah isn't just a distraction. I think what? She's got a child too, right?" Christine interjected, her brow furrowed. "How do you think Lily will feel if things get messy, Jake? You have to protect her." As the familiar concern echoed in Christine's voice, Jake felt a fire ignite within him. "I am protecting her. For once, I want to do more than just survive. Maybe it's time to actually live a little, Christine." Tension coiled in the air between them, heavy with emotion. Christine crossed her arms tighter, a sibling standoff that broiled as they both wrestled with the unpredictable landscape of their lives. "This isn't just about you," she snapped, her voice trembling with intensity. "It affects all of us. Listen, I get it. I know everything is complicated, I'm not naive. But there's room for joy too. And I want Lily to see that life can be a beautiful mess." As they argued, the weight of their shared experiences hung thickly, a realization that they both grappled with the crushing pressures of loss, their fears intertwined. In the end, Jake, Christine smoothed over her anger, voice dropping to a quiet seriousness. "You need to think this through. We should be standing together as a family in this." Swallowing the emotion rising in his throat, Jake nodded slowly. "Yes, you're right. I'll call a family meeting." "Good." Christine offered a tight smile. "But it needs to be soon. Come on, let us get inside." As they re-entered the cafe, Jake's heart sank at the sight of Sarah, seated with Lily and Mia, their laughter ringing like chimes. He paused for just a moment, absorbing the beauty of it all, the innocent joy radiating from his daughter, a light so contrasting to the dark heaviness he felt about to embrace. Sarah looked up, her face lighting up at his return, but quickly replacing her smile with worry as she glanced between him and Christine. "Everything okay?" Sarah asked softly, her voice tinged with caution. "We just need a moment to talk," Jake replied, feeling the weight of conflicting loyalties crashing against each other. "Christine and I were discussing family matters. It's kind of serious." Is everything all right? She pressed, the concern in her eyes deepening. It will be. He hoped his words would reassure her more than he felt in that moment. The truth is, I might need more time to sort things out. He felt a pang of guilt slicing through him as he realized he was shutting down the burgeoning connection they had just started to cultivate. I understand, Sarah replied, her voice steady yet touched with disappointment. Family comes first. I get that. For her, he would work toward understanding, for himself and Lily too. He wasn't ready to give up just yet. But as he walked back to his family, that yearning in his heart, what if the exploration they had begun was suddenly lost? He silently vowed to keep Sarah close, promising himself that he would find a way to make sense of the uncertainty, to manage what had collided in his world. Maybe this was a moment of reckoning, one that would call them all to rise and redefine their connections. As the cafe buzzed around them, Jake took a deep breath, feeling the resolve settle within him. Change might be daunting, but he was ready to confront it. With every wave that crashed against him, he would stand tall not just for himself, but for the heart he held above all others. Let us go find some cupcakes for later, he said, turning back towards Sarah, who was drawing closer to them. We'll talk about future plans when the chaos settles, I promise. Okay, she said, her smile returning, a flicker of hope igniting in the warmth of understanding. Just let me know when you're ready. As she spoke, they shared an unbreakable connection in that moment. It reminded Jake of the infinite potential waiting beyond the chaos, one that promised joy after navigating through the storm. He took a step toward her, closing the distance between them, careful not to lose the light they had just leaned into no matter how complex the path ahead would be. It was time to build. It was time to love not cautiously, but openly together. This was his moment of truth, the shift sparking the potential for warmth amid uncertainty. And as he began to embrace the part of himself that was ready to live, he knew in the depths of his heart, it was the beginning of a brand new story, one crafted by hope after surviving the unknown. Don't wait, not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now to capture every single moment of this incredible journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. This is the moment to show your support.